This video is sponsored by Rocket Money. Y'all, we're making flatbread out of cottage cheese. Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're tackling that viral sensation, low carb cottage cheese flatbread. Stay tuned. Alright guys, today's video is going to go super fast, and this is apparently in a series of videos that are featuring low carb and keto viral recipes that I am, as usual, a day late and a dollar short for. Everybody in the world has already tried this, but it's my turn. I just wanted to see if it's as good as everybody says it is, and this is the low carb cottage cheese flatbread. It's been all over TikTok, been all over Facebook, been all over YouTube. Today I'm going to test that out with the original recipe that's just a couple of, I think it's 3 ingredients if you count the seasoning as 1 ingredient. Cottage cheese, eggs, and whatever seasoning of choice that you've decided to use. And then a second recipe is a variant that I found in the comment section of a video that I cannot find again, but it adds 1 single ingredient and supposedly changes the texture completely and makes it even more flatbread-like. So let's get started on those now. This first recipe is going to be the original recipe. Super easy. This video is going to go fast. All right, let's get started. All right, guys, let's get started on this first recipe. Again, this is going to go super fast. This is the original. I've got 2 blender cups ready to go and put 1 aside. That's for our second variant that I was talking about. And this is the original, and this is a cup of large curd cottage cheese. It's the 4% milk fat. So these are going to need to go into a blender or food processor. I've just got my little bullet cup here that goes on my Ninja blender because that seems to be what everybody's kind of using. But anything that whizzes really fast is probably going to work for you. And this goes really easy. This is just 2 or 3 ingredients. We're going to add to the cottage cheese some eggs, 2 eggs, whole eggs, and this is the binder. This is what makes it bread-like. This is what does the magic that holds it, makes it pliable. So sort of gotta have the eggs apparently. And to this we're going to just add your seasoning of choice. A lot of people are doing garlic powder and onion powder. Some people are doing Italian seasoning. This is herbs de Provence. Just whatever you've got on hand that's an herb mixture. I'm not going to put any salt in this. I know some people do, but the cottage cheese is already pretty salty for me. So I'm just going to screw our blender top on here. And before we do this, we're going to, obviously our oven has preheated. This has got to cook for about 35 to 40 minutes in a 350 degree oven. So my oven is already preheated, and I've got a baking tray with a parchment paper on it. I put a little water underneath just to sort of help the paper hold. And I'm going to make sure that we've got a nice little layer of avocado oil or some non-flavored oil just to give this a chance that it won't stick. And then on this goes to the blender, and we're just going to let this whiz until it's liquid, and I'll be right back. Okay, that took about 45 seconds, I would guess. So I'm going to pour this onto our baking tray. You, of course, can use a seal pat for this or a silicone mat, although I have seen that you may need to oil that as well. And get this into a triangle, because they're going to cut this into sort of a pita flatbread thickness. So just spread this out. You don't want it to run too far though. The edges can get a little crispy, so don't run them too thin. Okay, so obviously this is super easy. This is going to go in again for, I'm going to check it about 30 minutes. Can take up to 40. So this is going to go in the oven now. Going to get cleaned up and quickly start on recipe number 2 so they can both cook at the same time. Meet you right back here. So let's get started on this second recipe now. But before we begin, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. Rocket Money is the personal financial app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower your bills, and manage your money better. If you're like me, you've probably seen the ads about Rocket Money and how it can help you cancel some of these recurring subscriptions. And to be very honest and transparent, I didn't think that this service or app was for me. I've got a banking app on my phone from my bank. I go through things fairly regularly. I thought I had a handle on this. So I went and downloaded the app for free, y'all. Within 5 minutes of putting my stuff in, it does its little thing in the background. It found two. It found two recurring subscriptions that I am double paying for. The first of those is cloud storage for photos on my phone. Somehow I have managed to sign up for duplicate accounts under separate email addresses. I shudder to think how much money I have wasted because I'm only using one of those accounts. The second one was a streaming service, and one of those I was paying for the service, and I was also paying for a bundled package which that service was included in. So I've been double paying for these. So with just a few taps, I was able to cancel both of those recurring subscriptions, and it's saving me about $240 a year just on those two things. If you want to do the same thing, you can try it for free by going over to rocketmoney.com/highfalutin. There'll be a link in the video description below, so you can try that out for free. You can also take advantage of some of their premium services with things like smart savings and lowering your bills. You can take a picture of your bill and send it to them, and they will actually negotiate on your behalf to lower those bills. So thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring this. It's sponsorships like yours that keep channels like mine on the air, and for that I am truly appreciative. So again, guys, if you want to try it out for free, go to rocketmoney.com/highfalutin and download the app for free. All right, let's get started on this second recipe. Come on. All right, guys, so let's get started now on the second recipe, and I cannot remember where I saw this variant. It's somebody who had a YouTube channel, and they made the recipe we just made, and someone mentioned that they added 2 tablespoons of coconut flour to the recipe, and that it came out more like a bread texture, a flatbread-like texture. So I'm very curious if that improves on the magic of the original version. So again, we're going to start with a baking tray here. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of oil, so we're ready to go down immediately on that as soon as we get this done. And we've got our cup of cottage cheese, again 4% large curd. In go our 2 whole eggs, and we're going to again use the same seasoning, just whatever you use. I know some people use everything but the bagel seasoning, or just garlic powder and onion powder, whatever you want. To this, we're also going to add in 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, and probably spill a good little shake of it on the counter there. Now, this is going to be the fastest video I probably have ever filmed, because this could not go any easier. I'm just going to put the blade right back on. I'm not even going to rinse it off. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. This is just going to go on the blender for about 45 seconds until it's ready to go. Pour it out and then thin this out, and I'll meet you right back here. We're going to let these cool. I'm going to test them, and I'll let you know what I think. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch. All right, guys, so we are back, and these both have cooked for about 35 minutes. The one with coconut, I let go a couple of extra minutes longer, and they've both been cooling for about 15 minutes. So we're ready to tackle these. This first one over here on the left, this is the original recipe. As you can see, it sort of fell apart, just bending it there. May could have cooked for a little bit longer, but I was scared to go much longer because, as you can see, some of the burning around the edges. This is the one with coconut flour. It did rip when I was pulling it up, but it ripped along the seam where the parchment paper was. It does feel a little more texturized than the original. So let's cut these in half, both of these actually, and just see what we can do. I'm going to slide this. Actually, I'm pretty well cut in half with this guy here, unfortunately, the way it all shaped up and shaped out. And you may want to come in here with a roller and just take off some of these crispy edges. Now, a lot of people say that these will crisp up well in a skillet. So if you wanted to do some sort of like a grilled sandwich or panini type thing, you can. And I'm just going to get a nice clean version of this so that we can test one sandwich. Here is it feels like a flatbread, but it has a wet, you know, that telltale eggy wet. Actually doesn't taste like anything except the herbs de Provence. So that's pretty respectable. All right, let me get this out of the way. Here is the one with coconut flour. It didn't brown as much. I'm going to go ahead again and just cut this in half and trim off some of the more browned edges just to give us a clean look. This one is a drier texture. Oh, that's nice. It just split right in half. This is a drier texture. It is more, the coconut flour adds something to that for sure. What does it taste like just by itself? It is has a little bit better bite to it. There is no egg flavor. There's no cottage cheese flavor. There's no coconut flavor. That's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna build a sandwich out of both of these. I'll let you know what I think. I'm gonna speed this up. Okay, so we've got our sandwiches rolled together. I've got a little bit of mayo on there on both of these, as well as some roasted red peppers, some pickles, and some lettuce. So how are we going to do this? The bottom one is this is the coconut flour. So I'm just going to easily, tell you what, I'm going to come this way. I think that's the way to do it. It did break in half over here, so that did not go as well as I had hoped. Maybe the way to do it is to just do it in half. So when I see them all rolled up, that is a little harder to do than said. Alright, I'm going to try to get a photo real quick of this. This one with the coconut flour. Didn't roll very well, but it looks good. Let me take a couple of photos real quick before I taste these. I'll be right back. Okay, so we tried these as they were, just as the bread, and they were nothing terribly exciting to write home about. So let's try one of these now. This is the original one. This is the first recipe, just as it's written. It is a little clammy, if that makes sense. It's a little wet, and I'll give you a tip here shortly. Let me get off of there, rose pepper. It does hold up a sandwich, though. Again, a little wet. Okay, that was good. It needs to be a little crisper. I would love to try maybe putting this on a nonstick skillet or in an air fryer after it's cooked, just to give it a little, dry it off a little bit. I can tell you, if I do this again, I would definitely get it off of the parchment paper as soon as you can. When you take it out of the oven, if you can finagle it, getting it off of the paper as soon as it's cool enough to touch, that's going to prevent it from getting wet and soggy. Okay, the second one did fall apart as I tried to roll it, but it had a little more texture to it, at least as far as the bite went. So what is this like now? Let's take a quick taste of this. Oh, that's good. Okay, so yes, if I were doing this again, which I probably will, I would definitely go with the altered version that adds 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. It held up poorly here because I baked it on the crease on the paper here, and that causes it to split. So if I'd have taken a little more care rolling with that one, it probably would have stayed together longer. It's drier. It definitely has something to chew and to bite. The other isn't bad, but it just sort of tastes like an egg wrap. You know, the thing that all the eggy pastas and breads and all of that, it kind of has that feeling, I'm not going to lie. There's not an overwhelming egg flavor, but there is that texture, and I think the coconut flour does a great job of sort of absorbing some of that moisture and giving your teeth something to chew. So there you have it, low carb cottage cheese flatbread. Can it be done? Yeah, maybe add that one extra ingredient, so then instead of 3, it's 4 ingredients, and throw that coconut flour in. So I told you this is going to be a fast one. Thank you guys for joining me. I say it every time. These videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating. Looking in the end of that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. Be sure you've hit the like button below, the thumbs up, to let other people know this is a video that might interest them. Be sure you've also subscribed and hit the subscribe button and notify button, the bell down below. You'll be notified just as soon as I release a new video. And also check me out on Facebook and Instagram. I talk a little more frequently and a little more freely over there. So it's just Highfalutin Low Carb on both of those platforms. And lastly, I need to thank my rock stars, my Patreon members. You guys see their names always scrolling here at the end. If you'd like to join this list of people that really make all of this possible, head on over to patreon.com/highfalutin-low-carb. You can join my Patreon there for a couple of bucks. Just sort of keeps the lights on around here, keeps the show on the road, and without them, none of the, without these names, none of this would be possible. So join the Patreon and see your name right over here. All right, guys, I love you very much. I'll see you in the next video, and remember, today is a great day to have a great day. Bye-bye.